What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Board Games Are for Everybody. And today we are going to be talking about Don't Break the Ice by Milton Bradley. This is a game that I did not own growing up, but I always played it over at a friend's house. I believe this version in particular is from 1994. I want to say, 1986. This one's from 1986. I remember there was one that came out in the 90s as well, either 93 or 94, but this is definitely the version that I remember playing growing up, that I always played at my friend's house. So Break the Ice is a fairly well-known game. I think they're still making versions of Break the Ice today. I think they are still making versions of Break the Ice today. So the way that, all the cubes were in there, perfect. The way that Break the Ice works is that you are trying not to have your little person, I can never tell if they're like sitting on a stool or on a chair or something. For some reason, they're just sitting on a stool on the ice. You want to make sure that they don't fall through the ice once you've set everything up. Now, they have this big 2x2 block that they set on. The standard way that you would set this up is to put the 2x2 block into the middle of the square, and then you start putting all of the other cubes around it. So that's how we're going to set it up, just as a example here to show how the game works. Now, if you wanted to, you don't necessarily have to do it in the middle. You could put it anywhere that you want to within the inner square. The middle is the standard that you would normally do for like a regular game. However, you could put it up in a corner. You could put it kind of offset. You could put it to the top in the middle. You can kind of throw it wherever you want. To make it either harder or easier. You could potentially leave some of the blocks out if you want to change up how your game is set up. There are a few possibilities for replayability, but for the most part, putting it in the middle is suffice enough. And you just got to stack all of these cubes around it. Now, actually trying to fit all this stuff in can be a bit of a pain sometimes. However, it needs to be able to stick in place for the purpose of the game, so it makes sense that it's going to be a little tight since we are using gravity as a game component. Alrighty, outer layer is done. Let's get this inner layer here. This one should be a little easier to do because we don't have to deal with the outer walls trying to get the cubes stuck into them, because I find as time has gone on, these little inner pieces here have bent inwards, which makes it a little harder. I can actually see here that a couple of them have actually broken off already, which is a shame, but it's bound to happen eventually. It is over 30 years old, or I guess possibly closer to that if it came out in 86, coming up on 36 years. And we have an extra cube, apparently. That's okay. So once all the cubes are in and you flip it over, you'll see that we have our ice sheet all set up here. Our guy sits in the middle on his piece of ice. Don't know why he's sitting on a stool in the middle of an ice sheet, but that's just what he decided to do. So from this point, each player will receive a hammer, and they will take turns trying to knock pieces of the ice out. Let's see if I can get ones here. There we go. So we got one piece out. As you can see, these guys are kind of starting to fall here too, but players are going to go back and forth knocking pieces of the ice out, trying not to make the guy in the center fall. So we're gonna do this with I probably should do this with my fingers here to try and make it a little less noisy than it needs to be, but just remember you would use the hammers. So then let's say player 1 wants to take this guy out here. Player 2 is going to come over here into the corner, try and take this out. And you just go back and forth until someone inevitably knocks down the guy in the center. And that's more or less break the ice. This is definitely a simple game. It is one that I have a lot of nostalgic value to, even though I never owned it, but I did play it quite a lot. Now, the more you play this game, the more you realize that you only really need one branching path actually holding this guy up, because it actually keeps things in pretty tight. So it's eventually you kind of learn the physics behind all of it, and you'll kind of know what you can and can't take out to still keep him up. But playing with someone who also understands that stuff, you can still have tense games. You can still be pretty interesting playing with someone who really understands it. These are in here pretty tight. That's surprising, although these are the ones that gotta go, because that guy's gonna come out. Okay, we got that one, because this is what's currently holding him in place. Like, we should be, it's kind of all coming out. We should be able, there we go, like we knock all that down, that big old thing. But you can see at the back here, this whole thing is being knocked down by the other stuff that we were knocking down. So eventually it is going to go. But if we can just get this corner here without knocking the whole thing down, as you'll see, unless the middle breaks here on us, you really just need one thing still through the middle, and it doesn't matter what way it goes. It could be going this way, it can be going this way. You could probably have some weird like L shape still keeping it up, and then whoever would have to go at this point, you could probably get these guys out. Oh geez, the whole thing's tilting now. Might be able to get these guys out without, no, I think it's gonna go down. Yeah, it's too, I mean, it's technically still up, but he did fall out. So whatever player would have knocked the token off the ice and into presumably the frozen water below would be the loser. You would set up the game again, start again. Obviously, super simple game. It's a kid's game. All the games, all the games from Milton Bradley in the 80s and 90s were kids' games, and also a lot of really good games. But that's it for Break the Ice. It's still a fun game. I still have a good time with it. If you just want a really chill, no pun intended, if you just want to really chill, sit down, relax, break some ice, or don't break the ice, as it were. We're just full of puns on this episode. Then this is a great game. It's still a fun game, whether you're a kid or an adult. I think you can get something out of it. I'm not saying you're going to sit down and have some sort of revolutionary thought process while playing Break the Ice, but it's still a good time in short doses. And that is Break the Ice for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you played Break the Ice growing up, in the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s or the 2010s, because I'm pretty sure they release a version of this game like every decade, because it's a popular game, they have to keep it going, then let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. Did you have a good time playing Break the Ice? Do you still have a good time playing Break the Ice? But until next time, guys, thank you very much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I will see you all next time. But until then, just remember that board games are for everybody, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.